At a Sunday family lunch, someone taps a spoon against a glass. The room goes quiet. A woman looks across the table and sees her younger sister holding her partner's hand. Her sister is smiling so hard she can barely get the words out. "We're having a baby." For half a second, the woman feels nothing. Then the room explodes. Their mother starts crying. Chairs scrape back. Everyone leans in at once. The woman stands too. She hugs her sister. She says the right words. "I'm so happy for you." And part of her means it. She loves her sister. She already knows she will love this child. But 10 minutes later, she is locked in the bathroom with one hand over her mouth, trying not to make a sound. The thought that scares her is not, "Why does she get this?" It is, "That was supposed to be part of my life too." Then comes the shame. What kind of sister cries after news like that? She fixes her face and goes back to the table. No one notices. That night, someone else's future has lit up the outline of the future she thought was coming. A child. Birthdays. School mornings. Family traditions. A voice calling her mom. Women arrive at involuntary childlessness by different roads. For one woman, it may be infertility or an inability to carry a pregnancy. For another, age, the absence of a partner, the end of treatment, repeated loss, or circumstances she could not change. Some still live with uncertainty. Others have reached a point where motherhood will not happen. These stories are not identical, but they can share a particular kind of grief. Grief for a future that was not only wanted, but expected. It may have no photograph, no funeral, and no single date everyone recognizes. Yet it can reach into identity, relationships, the body, and the meaning of a whole life. This is not a story about telling a woman to get over it. It is about what she may actually be grieving, why ordinary moments can reopen the wound, and how a life can expand without pretending the first future never mattered. Chapter 1. The Lifetime Table. She never agreed to. Long before a woman decides whether she wants children, somebody may have already drafted her future. Not on paper, in little sentences. When you have a family of your own. When you become a mother. When you give us grandchildren. Listen closely. What is missing? There is almost never an if. The future is presented as a sequence. Grow up. Find someone. Build a home. Have children. For many girls, motherhood is not described as one meaningful possibility among others. It is described as the natural destination of womanhood. Years later, the assumption follows them. After marriage, people ask when the baby is coming. A relative sees a woman holding an infant and says, "That looks right on you." She chooses a home and wonders which room could become a nursery. She keeps childhood books because she imagines reading them aloud one day. She watches a partner play with a nephew and sees a scene that has not happened yet. Imagined lives can become emotionally real. People save, move, wait, sacrifice, and make choices for the person they believe they are becoming. Then the years move. Group chats fill with ultrasound pictures. Weekends begin to revolve around naps, school events, and birthday parties. Friends still care, but their lives may start running on a calendar she does not share. At work, someone assumes she can stay late because no children are waiting at home. At family gatherings, people praise her freedom while quietly treating her life as less serious. No single moment has to be openly cruel. Together, they can send one message. Your life is different, and different is often treated as incomplete. The deepest pain may not be only that other people expected motherhood. She may have expected it too. When an expected life disappears without a clear ending, grief can be difficult to locate. Chapter 2. A Loss with No Ceremony. Most recognized grief has a visible shape. Something happens. There is a before and an after. Other people know the loss occurred. The loss of an imagined future may have no such outline. For some women, there is no single day when they know with certainty that motherhood will not happen. There may be years of changing circumstances, private decisions, closed doors, and hope that shrinks, returns, and shrinks again. One part of her may be trying to let go. Another is still listening for footsteps. This kind of uncertainty can resemble ambiguous loss. The future is not fully present, but it does not feel fully gone either. She may not know when she is allowed to grieve. Too early, and people tell her not to give up. Too late, and they ask why she is still thinking about it. So she gets caught between two commands. Keep hoping. Move on. Neither one makes much room for what is happening inside her. The grief may also go unrecognized by the people around her. They see no child, no death, no empty chair at the table. So they may assume there is nothing concrete to mourn. They say, "But you never had a baby." You still have options. At least you can travel. At least you have your career. At least is meant to soften the pain. Often, it closes the conversation instead. A loving partner does not erase the absence of a child. A meaningful career does not cancel a family she hoped to create. Freedom can be valuable and still not be the freedom she chose. Both things can be true. She can be grateful for her life and devastated by one part of it. She can love another person's baby and still need to cry after holding that baby. She can feel relief that uncertainty has ended, and grief because it ended without the outcome she wanted. The conflict becomes harsher when she believes only one emotion is allowed. If she laughs, she may worry the dream never mattered. If she cries, she may call herself ungrateful. If she skips a baby shower, she feels selfish. If she attends, she may spend the next day recovering. Whatever she does can start looking like evidence against her. Unrecognized grief does more than hurt. It can make a person question whether the hurt is legitimate. So she begins editing her pain. Other people have suffered more. I should be stronger. Maybe I am making this my whole identity. But she may be grieving more than the absence of a child. She may be grieving the relationship she imagined with that child. The version of her partner she expected to see as a parent. The traditions she hoped to pass down. The ordinary mornings that will never become memories. And because identity is built partly from who we think we are becoming, the question can change. It is no longer only, what will I not have? It becomes, who am I if I never become the person I expected to be? For some women, that question becomes entangled with shame. Guilt says, I made the wrong choice. Shame says, I am the wrong person. The body can deepen the wound. Even when a woman knows intellectually that her worth is not measured by fertility, pregnancy, or motherhood, old cultural messages may still shape the way she feels. My body betrayed me. I failed at something that was supposed to be natural. I am less of a woman. These are emotional verdicts, not logical conclusions. She may never say them about another woman. But when she looks at herself, the rules can become much harsher. Then, an ordinary question, do you have children? Carries the weight of years. She has to decide in a few seconds how much of her story to reveal. Sometimes she answers honestly. Sometimes she changes the subject. Sometimes she lies because the truth feels too exposed. The problem is not that she cares. The wound is being touched in public while she is expected to act as if nothing happened. Chapter 3. When someone else's joy touches the wound. A friend sends a message early in the morning. There is a photo attached. 2 lines on a pregnancy test. Under it, you're the first person I'm telling. The woman stares at the screen. She knows this message is an act of trust. She wants to answer with warmth, but her chest tightens before she can type. That first reaction is not a moral decision. It is a painful symbol touching a painful history. The second wound begins when she turns the reaction into a definition of herself. I am jealous. I am bitter. I am becoming someone I hate. But envy can carry information. It may point toward a desire that has nowhere to go. She may not want her friend's exact life. What hurts may be the apparent ease of the announcement. The sense that a door opened for somebody else while she spent years knocking. Social comparison sharpens the sting because people compare their private histories with other people's visible moments. She sees the photograph. She does not see the fear, conflict, sacrifice, or loneliness that may exist behind it. Knowing that does not switch off her reaction. Trying to ban the feeling only adds shame to pain. A more honest sentence is, this hurts because it touches something I wanted deeply. That sentence does not accuse the friend. It gives the feeling a location. The feeling belongs to the loss, not to the friend's worth. Once emotion is separated from behavior, choice returns. She can send a loving message and put the phone down. She can skip a baby shower without punishing the person being celebrated. She can mute a group chat for a week. She can leave a family event early. A boundary is not a verdict on somebody else's happiness. It can be a way to remain in a relationship without disappearing inside it. She might say, "I love you, and I want to be present for this. I may also need space sometimes because it brings up grief I am still carrying. If I step back, it is not a rejection of you." Not everyone will understand. Some people will offer advice when she needs listening. Some will take the boundary personally. Their discomfort does not automatically make the boundary wrong. The goal is not to perform perfect generosity while quietly collapsing. It is to remain honest enough that love does not require self-erasure. Chapter 4. Two people, different grief. For women in relationships, the loss may also enter the space between two partners. One wants to talk. The other starts washing dishes. One needs to revisit every decision. The other says, "We already went over this." One still imagines another path. The other cannot survive another round of hope. From the outside, that can look like unequal love. Inside the relationship, it may be two different ways of surviving the same loss. A woman may read silence as proof that the loss matters less to her partner. Her partner may hear repeated conversations as proof that life will never be allowed to move forward. One asks for emotional presence. The other offers practical solutions. One thinks they are helping. The other feels abandoned. Then fear can begin writing its own story. She watches her partner with a friend's child and thinks, "They would have been a wonderful parent." Then, one day, they will realize I took that life away from them. Her partner may never have blamed her. They may have chosen the relationship fully. They may be grieving too. But an anxious mind often scans neutral moments for evidence of hidden regret. A pause after an announcement. A long look at a family in the park. A joke about getting older. If I expect them to leave, I will be ready. Sometimes the mind tries to protect itself by anticipating rejection. But that protection can introduce abandonment into the relationship before anyone has gone anywhere. She may pull back physically. She may stop making long-term plans. She may ask questions with no safe answer. Do you wish you chose someone else? Will I ever be enough? No partner can remove every uncertainty about the future. What partners can do is describe the present honestly. When you go quiet, I start telling myself I am alone in this. Or, I am afraid our future feels smaller to you now. How are you imagining our life? The goal is not identical grief. It is visible grief. One partner may feel sadness. The other may feel anger or relief that uncertainty has ended. They may also be mourning different things. One may mourn pregnancy, motherhood, and a bond imagined in the body. The other may mourn parenthood, a family identity, or the experience of raising someone together. Neither version has to look the same to be real. The relationship they expected to become may need to be mourned too. For years, money, housing, holidays, intimacy, and conversation may have revolved around one shared goal. When that goal disappears, they may realize they have been living in a waiting room. Everything was temporary until the next decision. Now, another question appears. What are we building together? They may not want a new dream. They may want the old dream back. And when restoration is impossible, imagining another future can feel like betrayal. This is why acceptance is so often misunderstood. It may begin with a sentence that hurts to say, "This is not the life I wanted." Chapter 5. Acceptance without replacement. Acceptance is not approval. It is not gratitude for pain. It is not proof that everything happened for a reason. It is the gradual end of a daily argument with a reality that cannot be changed. For some women, that process takes a long time. A woman may feel steady for months. Then a scene in a film cracks something open. A birthday arrives. A sister announces another pregnancy. The return of grief can feel like failure. I thought I was past this. But grief rarely moves in a straight line. It can revisit old places from a new distance. A painful day does not erase the calmer days that came before it. A trigger is not proof that healing never happened. The goal is not to become untouched. It is for pain to stop occupying every room in her life. Before that happens, She may protect herself by filling every quiet hour with work or avoiding places centered on children. For a while, that may help. But protection becomes costly when it stops being a temporary shelter and becomes the only place she knows how to live. Healing may begin by replacing accusation with description. Not, "I am pathetic for avoiding this," but, "I do not yet know how to be in that room without becoming overwhelmed." Naming does not remove the pain, but it can return some choice. Maybe she attends the ceremony but skips the party. Maybe she tells one trusted person which dates are difficult. Maybe she finally says, "I wanted to be a mother, and losing that future changed me." That sentence does not trap her in grief. It gives grief somewhere to stand. Only then can she begin asking what exists beyond survival. Not what can replace motherhood, but what kind of identity can hold both the loss and everything that remains. People often rush toward replacement. Focus on your career. Travel. Get a dog. Spend more time with your nieces and nephews. Some of those things may bring real meaning, but they become painful when they are offered as an exchange. A child is not a career. A partner is not a child. A pet is not a child. Different relationships answer different human needs. A life does not heal by finding something that fits neatly into an empty space. And a woman does not need to build an extraordinary alternative life to justify not becoming a mother. She does not owe the world a brilliant career. She does not have to travel constantly. She does not have to become the perfect aunt. She does not have to turn pain into service. Her life is not a compensation package. Her worth does not depend on replacing motherhood successfully. A wider identity is built more slowly. What gives her closeness? Where does she feel known rather than evaluated? What has she postponed while waiting for her real life to begin? For different women, life may expand through relationships, creativity, work, community, care, or experiences postponed for years. None of these things has to replace motherhood or compensate for its absence. Some women may revisit other paths to parenthood. Others may decide they are finished with every path. There is no single emotionally correct ending. Real support begins by asking what she wants rather than assigning her a new purpose. It may sound like, "I can see that this still hurts. You do not have to make it smaller for me." Those sentences do not repair the loss, but they can reduce the loneliness around it. Professional support may also help when grief begins to take over sleep, work, relationships, self-worth, or daily functioning. Not by denying that motherhood mattered, but by helping her carry the loss without treating it as proof that she is broken. But one fear may remain. If she begins enjoying that life, has she betrayed the one she lost? The answer is waiting in the scene where this story began. A year after the family lunch, the woman stands in her sister's kitchen. The baby is asleep against her shoulder. The room is quiet, except for a washing machine turning somewhere down the hall. She looks at the child's face. The ache is there. Not as sharply as before, but it is there. For 1 second, she imagines the weight of her own child, the life she might have lived. Then the baby shifts. A tiny hand closes around her finger. She feels love. She feels grief. Neither one cancels the other. She once thought healing required a choice. Either she remained loyal to the future she lost, or she accepted the life she had. Now she understands that moving forward does not erase what mattered. The old question may never disappear. Why did I not get the life I thought was coming? Biology, timing, relationships, circumstances, choice, loss, and chance do not always form a satisfying answer. Pain is not always a lesson. Unfairness is not always redeemed. But another question can stand beside the first. What do I want to do with the life that is mine? That question does not turn the loss into a gift. It gives her back a small piece of authorship. She is not an unfinished mother. She is not the space where a child should have been. She is a woman whose expected life changed, but whose life did not end. In one honest life, there can be days of freedom, gratitude, anger, tenderness, and returning grief. Moving forward does not betray the future she wanted. Joy does not rewrite the loss. Grief does not cancel joy. Acceptance does not mean deciding that what happened was fair. It means the life in front of her no longer has to apologize for being different from the one she imagined. If this story touched something you rarely say out loud, you can share in the comments the question that feels hardest right now, or the question that is slowly helping you move forward.